back. Thank you so much for joining me again today. If you're here for the first time, welcome. This is my Floss Tube channel. I think this is episode 6. Is it 6? I think it's 6. Off the Grid Needlearts from the stash pile. And this is my little corner of the Stitchy world, Stitchy community. Thank you so much to everyone for leaving me comments and, chiming in on Instagram or the blog. It's so much fun, and I really appreciate all of your kind words and things that you say about my projects and the silly stories that I have to tell you. Not a lot of people can put up with my constant stream of chatter and still actually come back for more. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Today is Thursday, August the 24th, and I am back up north, back off the grid. I'm recording today outside in our breeze room. I thought, I'm sorry you're looking at the wall behind me. I was trying to record facing the other way so that you could see our view, but the sun was a bit too bright and everything was blown out anyways, and I thought instead of you staring into, a white screen behind me, this would show off my stitching a little bit better. So I am outside. It's the end of August, and it feels like fall in northern Ontario. It is cool today. It is windy. We've had some weather in the last few days, and this has been the first day that John's been able to take my family, who is here visiting. Kathy and Clara, my sister-in-law and my niece, are here, and John was able to take them out on a boat ride today. I don't enjoy boat rides at all. That's a story for another day. I'm not much of a boating person, and yes, in the summer I live on an island. It's one of those bizarre things about me that I'm sure you'll slowly start to uncover as we dig through the stash pile. So anyways, Thursday, August 24th, and it's middle of the afternoon. There's a light breeze, so as I'm recording outside, I'm hoping that it's not going to affect the sound quality. I did check, I did a little test. It seems okay, so I'm going to go with it and hope for the best. I've inserted a few things at the beginning of my video today that I hope you enjoyed. I know a few episodes back I had promised some pictures and photographs of where we live up here, and then I failed to follow through with that. So what I've done is I've taken a quick video of a 360-degree view from our back. It's not a deck, it's the rock, the back rock. The front rock sort of, goes right into the water. So there's the back area, and John would argue with me about that because he calls them the sides. Apparently the front is this part of the cottage, and what I call the back and the front are actually what he considers the side. And as he says, since he built it, he gets to decide what is the front. And I quietly disagree and still call it the back and the front anyways. So I took a little quick video of a 360-degree view of what we see from that area, and you can see all of what looks to be part of the same island is actually 2 or 3 separate islands. And then I put in a still photograph from the other side, what I call the front of the cottage, which is where you will see a boat parked on the dock. That's my father-in-law's boat, and that's his dock and his boathouse, and he is over in that area of the island. And then off in the distance you'll see lots of other trees and rocks and things like that. And actually in that photograph, and it's impossible to tell. There is actually 5 different islands that you can actually see. And it would be very difficult for you to distinguish the difference in those islands without me actually physically pointing them out, because they are so small. I've also included a photograph of a nautical map at the beginning, where you can see the area of Georgian Bay where we are. We're in what's known as the 30,000 islands of Georgian Bay. Whether there's 30,000, I didn't count them. That's just what it's known as. And I have had some questions wanting, a little bit more detail, a little bit more information about the uniqueness of where we are. And I think I might do a blog post on the address is www.offthegridneedlearts.com. I might do a sort of a photo essay there about a little more, detail. But basically, in a nutshell, we live about a 5.5-hour drive, depending on who's driving. My husband can do it in 4:45 if no one stops to go to the washroom. For me, because I like to stop a lot, it's about 5.5-hour drive from our home in the city, and then we park the cars on a small piece of land that my father-in-law owns on the mainland. We simply call it the Rock. That's where we park the car, and there's a dock there where we dock the boats, my father-in-law and ours, and then from there we boat out into the islands. And it's about a 10-minute boat ride from where we park the car to arriving, maybe 10, 15 minutes, to arriving at our dock here on this island. And as you can see from the nautical map, the islands around here are teeny tiny. Many of them are, simply a large rock with a few trees on it, and sort of scrub and spreaders and things like that. It's rugged, it's wild, it's beautiful, and we love it. We absolutely just love it. I can't imagine wanting to be anywhere else. So if you have any other questions, feel free to go over to the blog and leave me a comment or a question there. It is very easy for me to respond on the blog. I do read every single comment that comes through under the video here, and I love them. So please keep them coming. It is not quite as easy for me to answer them on the YouTube videos as it is over on the blog, but I do still love getting them anyways. Okay, so moving on. Stitching. I have some big show and tell today, and I am so excited about this. I finished this last night, and I took a picture of it this morning, and I did post it on Instagram already, so some of you have already seen this. This is, and I'm sure you know what's coming because I did talk about it last week that it was almost done. So without making you wait any longer, this is my show and tell. My ink circles, Cirque de Circle. Just want to make sure it's all there. Can you see it? Cirque de Circle is complete. This is done on 32 count khaki linen, and I used a gorgeous hand-dyed HDF silk by Vicki Clayton, and the colorway was Marque de Circle. And as I've said before, and many people know, Vicki no longer makes this thread. So it's really difficult to get the colors correct on the screen here. The khaki linen is very washed out. So if you would like a picture where you can actually see the colors, the true colors, I did manage to get a very good one this morning that's quite true to the actual colors. That's actually right there. That's pretty darn close. There you can see the khaki color and the lovely golden variegation on that thread. That's actually quite close to real life. Oh my goodness. This piece took so long. This was my oldest work in progress that I had going. And because of Faye at Crochet Circle Podcast and her Festival of Finishing, I pulled the cord on the motor and I got a wriggle on and I finished it up. So probably this bottom third, I'm going to say the bottom third I probably did in the last 6 months. And I probably started it, I don't know, I can't even guess when I started it. The pattern came out in 2006, it was a few years after that, about under 10 years, but still way too long. Considering I could do a third of it in under 6 months, it's way too long. I just wanted to point out something that I always thought was quite funny when I stitched it. Do you see this little guy right there? Doesn't he look like a little corn man? There he's right side up, and then there's the corn man upside down. When I stitched that, I could not stop giggling when I saw that. His little happy face there. I thought, how silly is that? So cute. But, oh my goodness. What a wonderful feeling it is to have this off the bars and ready to go. So I am going to not take that to the framer anytime soon because, well, I think I may have mentioned we paid for wisdom teeth removal last week. So framing is not in my future. However, I know a very good framer, and once I've saved up my pennies, I intend to take that to Neil over at Thread and I and have him frame that. I suspect I'll ask for that for my Christmas present this year because I cannot wait to have that up on my wall. So that's my show and tell. That's my enormous show and tell. And I think that was a good one today. So thank you for all of the kind words that you've already left me on Instagram. My phone's been lighting up like crazy with the notifications because everyone loves to see a finish. We're all so congratulatory of everyone when something big like this is accomplished and finished. And the stitching community, everyone's so kind and really, it's very much appreciated. Thank you very much. So now I have some whips. I've been working on a few other things this week, but actually only two. Just two other things this week because, well, I really did want to finish the ink circles design. So as I discussed last episode, Kristen on Instagram, Stitchy Mom, and I were discussing the fact that we had these lovely, lovely stashes in our closet that we had kitted up these amazing projects, and we were sort of biding our time to start them until we'd finished everything else, feeling guilty for not finishing enough things, and it was a shame that these beautiful things were sort of laying neglected in the closet, and we paid good money for them, and we really should start them. So the hashtag was born, hashtag start your stash. And I have seen some other start your stash starts on Instagram, which has been really fun. So keep it up. I hope you're enjoying it. So last week I did start my stash. And the one that the two patterns that I showed you, Frederica and Frederick from Carriage House Samplings, I decided to start with Frederica because I just wanted to start with the girl, just because. And I had also mentioned that I was going to be stitching this one thread over one on some really lovely doubloon even weave that I had, and I changed my mind. It's still the same piece of fabric, 28 count Lugana doubloon, but I decided instead to go over two, which for me is shocking because I rarely do over two on 28 count. Normally the biggest count I will do usually is a 32 count with two strands, because I usually find that 28 count with two strands doesn't give me quite enough coverage that I really like. But this fabric, it's a little bit of a closer weave, and it's a nice plump fabric, and I'm finding that the coverage for me is fine. I am using DMC. I'm using DMC threads because that's what I had in my stash and I wanted to start it. I didn't really want to shell out a lot of money on the specialty silks that were called for because, well, I fully support my local needle workshop. I go there frequently and I frequently buy things from them, and I will continue to buy things from them. But this project was all about start your stash. It was in my stash and I would like to use my stash. So DMC all the way. And I think that the colors are pretty darn good. So, no, I didn't actually bring I didn't bring the floss toss out with me today. So you can just see I've just started in the corner. And it's going quite quickly. I think that's only maybe 3 or 4 nights work to get the corner almost complete. There. And I think if I keep at this, there's a lot of open space in the design. The bird is huge, but I can't wait to get to the bird. I'm doing the border first so that I can have the pleasure of enjoying the bird. But you know what? I'm enjoying stitching the border as well. It's all good. So it's all fun. So that was my other work in progress that I was working on this week. And then last night, after I finished the ink circles design, it wasn't quite bedtime yet, and I thought, well, I really would like to do a little bit more stitching. So I pulled out the Little House Needleworks ABC Houses sampler, and I started the 3rd house. So there it is. This is the FGH house. That's what it's going to look like when it's done. And I've just started the landscaping on the bottom. I had more, but I actually made a number of errors and had to spend my time ripping out some stuff and restitching. So it's not quite as far ahead as I'd like, but I really am quite pleased with this project and I'm loving how it's stitching up. And I fully intend to complete it in the next 5 years. I don't know how long it's going to take, and I don't really care. It's just a fun stitch. I love it. So I thought this was an interesting way. The reason I kept this on the frame to show you was because I have had other questions about how I like to stitch. And I thought you might be interested to see a bit of my setup. I have, this is a K's frame, and it's a lap frame, so it sits on either the table or your lap. I can stitch on the couch, I can stitch in bed. Does anyone else do that? Do we have any other stitchers who like to stitch in bed? I love to stitch in bed, and I'm always very careful with my needle. I usually always, when I'm stitching in bed, I always have a magnetic needle minder, and I'm paranoid about the needle in bed. And then I have a few different scroll rod systems that work in the lap frame. So this is one, this is the handy clamp that just, you don't have to, obviously, you just clamp the fabric to the rod. I do find that this leaves a mark in the fabric that is rolled up. So how I deal with that is I have some cotton bat that I have rolled up in the bottom here that does help protect a little bit at the bottom, but I don't tend to keep the fabric on these rods long term. So I do take it off and switch out my projects, because that's one of the nice things when you have multiple projects on the go, you can switch back and forth. Can you hear that noise? That is actually that's 2 planes. That's a helicopter and a float plane. We have a lot of float planes that go overhead numerous times a day that take people on tours from the air of the islands, so that they can have an aerial view of the beautiful scenery out here. They can be a bit loud a few times a day, and sometimes they can buzz the islands pretty close. We'll have a few a week that we think, you know, those pilots are really cutting it a little close to the tips of the trees, and maybe they should be flying a little higher. But anyways, so the frame. So these are the handy clamps. I love using these. And the other rods that I use in my floor frame are just the regular K's or Hearthside scroll rods that have the fabric on the top that you can sew your project to, and then the bars at the side. So these are K's. But the Hearthside rods actually fit. And in fact, the handy clamp bars, I have those tucked into my Hearthside side bars. If it's interchangeable and I can find it and I can use it and it fits, then I'll use it. Whatever is handy. These are my preferred bars, the ones that you stitch the fabric to the top, because I find that the tension on the fabric is better than the handy clamps, and I can really make a nice taut stitching area, which I do prefer. I try to always stitch on a lap frame. I have a floor frame at home, and I do try to always stitch on a frame because I'm a two-handed stitcher. So my dominant hand, I'm right-handed, my dominant hand is underneath the fabric and my left hand is on top of the fabric. And so I am able to stab from the back and pull from the top and then down and back. And so it's two-handed, and it makes it quite fast. So I am able to, I'm a fairly quick stitcher. I just have too many things to stitch, which is why the progress is sometimes a little slower on certain projects. So that's what I had to show you today. That's what I've been working on this week. Oh, I do have one more thing, actually. Okay, funny story. I wasn't sure whether to put this as part of my show and tell or as part of my whip, because it's not really, I'm probably never or ever going to completely finish this properly the way that it should be finished. However, for me, it's about as finished as it's ever going to get. So, funny story. About 13 years ago, I was called for jury duty back in London at home, and I went, and you know, I don't know if you've sat through the selection process before, but at the beginning, the judge gave us a lecture and said, "This is your civic duty to be here, and it is a great responsibility to be chosen. And unless it is going to cause serious hardship, you are expected as a good citizen, good upstanding citizen. You are expected to, you know, do your civic duty." And so I'm sitting there thinking, well, you know, okay, hardship. A hardship for me is not being able to feed my family. A hardship is missing work and not having a paycheck in order to put a roof over our heads and put food in my children's mouth. And that, I think, is an excusable thing. If you cannot miss work, if you are not allowed to miss work, or if you are injured, or there's a whole host of reasons why it would actually be completely acceptable to not serve on a jury. And this was going to be, we were told up front, this was a murder trial. And this was not going to be a couple of day affair. We were told that this could most likely run anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. And so, but again, it's your civic duty, and unless it's going to cause a serious hardship, you're expected to serve. So I'm thinking, well, okay. My daughter was 3.5, almost 4, but she was in and out of daycare. So I had daycare possibilities if needed. And I had just closed down I was in the process of closing down a specialty food shop, retail food shop that I had run. Again, another story for another time. But I was in the process of trying to sell the remaining inventory online. Things that you can do from home at night. Again, not a serious hardship. And I'm also a music teacher. Well, most of my students come after a certain time period. They come in the evening and are usually fairly flexible. If I have to change around lesson times, usually I'm able to, switch people around, and they'll come in the weekend or slightly later in the day. Again, I thought, okay, well, I can move a few kids around, and that's not really it's not a serious hardship. I can still afford to pay the bills and buy some groceries, and okay, we're still good. So then I was the third person called. They selected 3 jury pools, and I was the third person of the very first jury pool picked. And I went up and is there any reason why you can't serve? And I said no. So I was chosen, of course. And then I saw everyone else who came up, and I heard the range of excuses from, it's March break next week, and I thought I might take the kids to the water park, to I really don't want to serve on the jury. It was I couldn't believe it. I really could not believe the excuses coming out that really were not legitimate excuses. And anyway, I was picked. I was on the jury. So I thought, okay, this is going to take a while. This is going to take some time. And I don't know how much free time I'm going to have, but as crafters do, we like to be prepared, over prepared. So in preparation for the jury trial, I went to Thread and Eye, and I prepared a project that I'd had in mind for a while. And this was going to be a door pull and a tapestry design from Beth Russell. And it was a book that I had bought previously on a previous trip to the store, and I cannot remember the title, but it's a Beth Russell book of William Morris designs. And if you go back in my Instagram feed and you scroll back a ways, I have actually completed the tapestry. It's the orange tree with the woodpeckers in it, and the tapestry is complete. And I had bought the supplies at the same time. So I bought the supplies for the bell pull, the matching bell pull, and the wool, the DMC wool to stitch the design. And I loaded the fabric onto scroll rods, and I rolled it up, and I took all my things to the jury trial. And we spent a lot of time in the jury room. There was a lot of time waiting in the jury room. The judge would send us to the room quite frequently while the lawyers would discuss certain points of the case that we were not supposed to be privy to hearing. So we did spend a lot of time, a lot of free time. And I was always prepared, and I never minded waiting. I was happy as a clam to be sitting there with my things. So I started stitching this bell pull, this tapestry bell pull. Oh. So I'm showing it to you upside down. So this is the bottom. No, I have to flip it around. Terrible. I had it rolled up, but it's all unrolled on me. That gives you a clue, doesn't it? So here's the top. This is the very top. Look. And it is beautiful. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. So I started stitching. And I kept stitching. And I kept stitching. And going and going and going and going. Look at it. It's 6 feet long. But I had it rolled up on the frame, and I had no idea. I had no idea how long it was, because I was happily stitching away. Now, of course, it took longer than the time of the trial, which ended up being, I'm going to say it was 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks. It was almost a month. And of course this took longer than that. And so I took it home and I kept stitching and stitching and stitching and stitching and stitching. And then eventually, you know, a year and a half later, I completed the stitching, and I could tell that it was a fair chunk, you know, rolled up on the frame. But I thought, oh, this is going to make a really lovely bell pull that I can hang in my house. And then I took it off the frame and it fell to the floor and my jaw dropped. And I thought, I've never seen anything so ridiculous in my life. It's 6 feet long. What the heck am I going to do with that? That is not a bell pull. What is that? And I had done so much work. So much work, so much money and effort went into stitching this. And it's gorgeous. I can't tell if you can see, but this is a navy blue in the background, and then the border is brown, and but the flowers are absolutely stunning. But a bell pull, it is not. It is far too long. No one has a wool that long. So and you can see what I did was I've actually been adding a second, a different kind of border around the outside. Oops, cat hair. A different kind of border around the outside because I think I'm going to clip the Penelope fabric eventually. We have been using this as a table runner here at the cottage. And it's been in use, so I'm not even sure that it's ever going to be any more finished than it is now because it's on my table, things sit on it, crumbs get in it, and I shake it out, and we use it, and it makes the table look pretty, and so yeah, there you go. But isn't that ridiculous? 6 feet long, and I had no clue because I was just blissfully stitching away. And when you do this sort of embroidery, this sort of tapestry work, it's just a 10th stitch. So, you know, it's just round and round and round with the needle. So it was quick, it was nice and plump, it was plump stitches, beautiful coverage. I really enjoyed working on it, but it's not a bell pull. I think my father-in-law got a little bit of red wine on it right there. So, but you know what? It's not a bell pull. We love it. It's in use. I don't care. I'm not going to be fussy about it. But I thought that you might enjoy this story. So, anyway, my 6 foot long bell pull. So, there you go. That was from my stash pile, and that's all of the stitching that I have to show for you today. I do have a little something special, a special interview that I'd like to do today. The person that I would like to interview is actually on a boat trip today at the moment. So when she gets back, I'm going to record that interview, and I'll insert it right here, and then when I come back, I'll do the shop update. The shop update is going to be a little bit long today because we have been busy. So if you are not interested in any of that after the interview, I'm pretty much done what I had to talk to you about today. So I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you soon. Okay. All right. So, hello.
Hello.
Hi. Can you say hi to my friends? And who are you?
Clara.
You're Clara. Well, welcome, Clara. Welcome to Off the Grid Needlearts podcast. Floss tube. What do you think? Can you tell my friends who you are?
Clara.
You're Clara, right? Are you related to me? Yeah. What are you to me?
Your niece.
You're my niece. That's right. And who's your mom?
Kathy.
Your mom is Kathy. That's right. Now, Clara, this is a stitching podcast. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
So what does Auntie Carrie like to talk about?
Cross stitching.
Cross stitching. I do. Did you learn how to cross stitch this year?
Yeah.
I thought you might like to come on and show my friends what you've been working on. Your projects. Would you like to show? Do you want to show them the first one?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Well,
What does it look like, first of all?
it looks like a girl Easter egg hunting with a bunny rabbit.
Very nice. That's right. So should we hold it up and a little closer, and then they can see it like that? Very nice. And have you been working on it for a long time?
Yes.
But not too long. We'll leave the pattern in the bag because they don't need to see the pattern because they saw the picture. What they really came here to see is your stitching. Let's show them. Look at that. Whoa! So cool. And are you using your favorite color?
Uh-huh.
Which is?
Purple.
Purple. That's right.
I'm going to be starting a new one.
You are. Well, I heard you asked your mom a question. I heard that you asked your mom whether it was okay to work on more than one project at a time. Did you ask her that? What did she say?
Yep.
And why did she say yep?
Because for the love of knitting.
For the love of knitting?
And cross-stitching.
I thought she said something like, well, Auntie Carrie works on more than one project at a time so that you can too. Is that true?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I thought. Okay. So are you almost done this one?
Uh-huh.
Are you going to stitch the border like is on the picture?
Yeah, after I finish the bunny rabbit though, I think I'll start a tulip and another tulip.
Oh,
And
you're going to do the
then
tulips
I'll do
first
it.
and then the border. Did you have any trouble when you were learning how to cross stitch?
Yeah.
What gave you some trouble?
The tiny little holes. I couldn't figure out where to put the cross stitch.
You couldn't figure out where to put the cross stitch. But then it got easier
Mm-hmm.
because you did what? You practiced?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I did a lot with Auntie Carrie. For the first time, I didn't do any at home with my mommy because I thought she had no experience in it.
But she does, doesn't she?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she's
She
a pretty...
told me she let me see one of her beautiful ones that was a secret garden with many pretty flowers. She's almost done it.
I know.
She said I might be able to put it in my room.
You think she's going to allow you to put it in your room?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? You have to tell her that she has to finish it. Otherwise, you're going to be all grown up. And then she'll have to finish it and put it in your house because you won't live at home anymore because you'll be all grown up and moved out. That's what happens when Auntie Carrie works on these projects that are so huge. They take a
Yeah.
long time, don't
But
they?
at least you finished one last night.
I did. I already told them all about it.
Hmm.
It's pretty nice, isn't it? I was super proud of myself for finishing that. I thought I did a good job. So this is your one project that you're almost done. Do you want to show them the other one that you started? Since
Uh-huh.
it's perfectly acceptable to work on more than one project at a time?
My mommy made something to go around it.
She's clever, hey? So your mom made that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's called a grime guard. Did you know that?
Uh-huh.
Do you know
And
what grime
there's
is?
all these colors.
Look at all those threads. So you organized your threads.
Mhm.
That's called floss. You organized your floss into the different colors, okay? And what is this design going to be?
It is going to be a morning dog. But
A morning dog?
He is not a morning dog.
Oh.
Do I look like a morning person?
And so this is the one you're going to start next. I love it. And I see that this has the same kind of fabric that you did your Easter Bunny design on. Do you know what that's called? You know what this kind of fabric is called?
No.
It's called Ada. And you know what?
Hmm.
I have a friend whose name is Ada.
Hmm.
I know. Isn't that nice? Isn't that cool? So those are your two projects. And hey, I like your bag.
I have lots of others at home.
You have lots of other bags?
No, I have lots of other cross stitches.
Hey, you know what?
What?
Me too. I have lots too. That's okay. It's all good. Was that more than 5 minutes? Oh, it was 6.5 minutes. We're going to cut out the beginning part though. Okay? So thanks for coming on and talking to me. Have you, did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about? Anything else you wanted to tell them?
My dad doesn't have that much experience of any crafts.
Your dad doesn't have that much experience with crafts?
Yeah.
But he doesn't mind that your mom does all her crafts, right?
Yeah.
Because your mom does a lot of crafts.
But can I tell them something funny?
Sure. What's
So
funny?
when we were in the middle of a podcast, Daddy knocked in and told us, lunch is ready.
Oh, that's right, because you do a podcast with your mom
And
sometimes,
then
don't you?
we had to
Knitteration.
we put up the sign that said podcast. But this is what he did. He goes,
knock, knock, knock.
and then opened the door.
And he opened the door anyway?
Yeah.
Oh.
He didn't see the sign.
He didn't see the sign.
And then took some scissors.
He did. What do you think he needed the scissors for? Was he going to maybe try some cross stitching of his own?
No.
No?
He'd never do that.
Oh.
He doesn't even like he didn't like doing crafts.
You know what?
What?
That's my brother. My brother's your dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why he doesn't like cross stitching. Are you putting all your projects away now? Oh, I see. Are we done? No, is our interview over for now?
Nope.
Why?
Because
Oh, what else
we're
did you
still
want?
talking about your dad.
We're
my
talking
dad.
your dad. We don't need to talk about him. He's just my stinky brother.
I'm gonna tell him that.
All right. Well, I think we're going to say goodbye, and thanks for coming on my show. And hey, Clara,
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah.
All right. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Shop update. Hello. Welcome back. It's been what? Well, 30 seconds for you, but it's been a little while for me. I've had a cup of coffee and I've brought my quilt out so that I'm not freezing cold. It's pretty windy out here and it's a little bit chilly. So I have a lot to show you today in our shop update for evertote.com. Evertote is a small business that I have with my sister-in-law Kathy. We make bags. We sew stitching and knitting project bags, wedge bags, tote bags, box bags, notion totes, any kind of bag that you can think of. We've probably made it. So Kathy is here this week, and the last few weeks at home, she's a teacher. She's a high school music teacher during the school year, and in the summer she gets a wriggle on and she is the most productive sewer I've ever met. So she, in the last few weeks, has produced a number of cross-stitch totes that I am in the process of putting up on our Etsy site. So I just thought I'm going to quickly show them to you, show you what we've been up to. Most of the sizes that I have to show you today are for an 11-inch square Q-snap, so the slightly larger size. I have a couple of smaller ones. But we have mostly the large size bags that I'm showing you today. Next week, over the next week, I will be adding some more of the medium size, which fits the 8-inch square or the 8x11 Q-snap, the medium cross-stitch tote. I'll be adding in a few more of those next week. We also have coming next week, just to mention it, because if you're interested in Halloween fabrics at all, Kathy has some fantastic Halloween bags coming. She's in the process of putting them together now, and they will be added to the shop as soon as they're done. You may see them as early as the next few days. I'm not sure. We are also working very hard on getting our kit bags ready for the Fiber Friends fall kit. I am a member of the Fiber Friends podcast, also on YouTube, which is a knitting podcast. And if you've watched us, you know we're a little bit crazy. We can be a little bit rude, but we have a lot of fun. And those girls they're my best friends. I'm very lucky. I don't just have one best friend. I have many best friends, and I've been very fortunate in my life to remain friends with people that I've been friends with since I was a kid. I have really wonderful people in my life. And these girls are pretty amazing. So the Fiber Friends podcast on YouTube, we are going to be at the Kitchener Knitters Festival at the beginning. It's the weekend after Labor Day, and we are going to be vending at a small table there, and we are producing a kit, yarn, bag, and a knitting pattern for the festival. So we've been working on that as well. But the Halloween bags should be coming out as soon as possible. They are some of the best Halloween project bags I've ever seen. The fabric is really, really fun. So the next podcast that I record, I will show some of those bags on that podcast. So to show you what we have going up on the site today and tomorrow, I'm going to start with the smaller ones because there's a few special ones here. This first bag was a bit of a measuring error. It was supposed to be the medium size, but well, as you know, things happen, and instead it's slightly short. So this will fit an 8-inch square Q-snap, but not an 8 by 11. And it is already up in the shop now. There are 2 of them. This has been hand quilted, so it's been hand pieced. All of these pieces of fabric were individually pieced and then quilted onto a piece of 100% cotton bat that we use on the inside of our bags, and then quilted with a zigzag stitch. And all of the bags are also fully lined with no exposed seams. So the seams are hidden on the inside of the bag. You can see that the zippers open right to the corners so that there is never a problem to get those Q-snaps in. The side there. Nice and deep. Lots of space. They open up quite wide, so your project goes in and you've got lots of room to also stuff your pattern and your threads in there as well. So this one, I love the colors in this. And the quilting detail on it is just so pretty. Everything is top stitched. All of the bags are top stitched. Okay, so that's the first one. Then there was the next quilted bag. This is the actual one to fit. This is the actual medium. So I've called this one the petite medium. And this one is the medium. Also hand pieced, hand quilted in some really beautiful blues and creams. So this is a medium. Fits an 8-inch square or an 8 by 11. There are a few of those. The third quilted bag that we have up is another medium, and this one matches a wedge tote bag that we've put up as well. Again, all of the pieces hand seamed and then hand quilted by machine. But Kathy did it. This is not one piece of fabric. These are strips that have been strip pieced and then quilted. And then there's some black twill on the bottom. And twill is a slightly heavier fabric, and it gives a really nice weight to the bottom of the bag. Again, fully lined, no exposed seams. And the inside, we do not use interfacing. It's a nice cotton bat, which makes the bag, I think, makes it feel really nice. Nice and soft and squishy, but still lots of support for your work and protection. Much better than a Ziploc bag. So those are the quilted bags that we have. So they're a little bit special. They're a little bit unique. Now the 11-inch squares, so these actually measure approximately 14-inch square. And they're plenty spacious for an 11-inch square Q-snap with all of the stuff that you want to stuff in there. So I'm going to go kind of quick to get through these because I have a bit of a stack. The first one, I love this print. This one, this one's really cute. 2, it's the same print, just reversed, and then she did the contrasting fabric in the middle. My Kathy's a clever lass. Oh, this one. Oh, this bag. I almost can't put this bag up to sell because it's so gorgeous. I love it. The pinks and the feathers, and then a coordinating black zip. I mean, how sharp is that? There's only one of these, so I'll put it up in the shop. Hearts and bumblebees, super sweet. And this chevron herringbone pattern at the bottom. Oh, I love it. Cute. Can't remember what the, oh yes, She matched the lining on the inside with that one. Now this next one. Ta-da. Isn't it beautiful? Now this is the cross stitch bag. We also have a wedge tote bag that is exactly the same. And this is done with a dark navy twill on the bottom, because this is actually a dark navy. This is not black on the inside here. It's all really, really beautiful, rich navy blue. Love that one. And then a mosaic pattern. Again, I have a matching wedge tote that goes with this bag. I mean, obviously they're sold separately, but same fabric combination we've done in a boxed bottom bag. Bluebird of Happiness. How sweet is that bottom print? A while back we made box bags with this fabric. It's a favorite. Love it. Some leaves. The leaf print. Can't remember what she did on the inside of this. Oh yeah, polka dots. Bit of a graphic. And this last one, this is my most favorite, I think. I love them all. But this one, how amazing is that? Now this last one, we are selling as a combination with a notion tote, because we had enough of this fabric to make a coordinating notion tote. It's just not made yet, so that's why I can't show it to you. But this will be sold as a pair so that they go together. So it's a large bag, and it will be a 7x4 zippered notion tote that goes with this, with just the fish print on it. So a nice little combo there. So those are the cross stitch bags that I had to show you. And I have one final thing to show you today for the shop update, and this is kind of a big deal for us. Kathy started dyeing yarn a while ago, and it's been something that she has wanted to do for a long time. And our small business, Evertote, for a while now has been selling yarn with my friend Adrienne, Old Oaks Yarn, and we are going to continue to be doing that because Adrienne is a close friend and her yarn is amazing. So she is going to continue to be a special guest yarn dyer on evertote.com, but we are now going to be also offering an in-house yarn. And if you are a knitter, if you're multi-craftual like many of us are, and you're also a knitter, then I thought maybe I would show you the first little combination kit that we have put out. Because we're also bag makers, we're approaching Kathy's yarn dyeing as what we would like to offer. We would usually like to offer as sort of a pairing, kind of like pairing a fine wine with the proper fish course or something like that. So the bag that we have is a wedge tote. So it's more of a knitting style bag in the turquoise and corals. And we also made a bag for each of us as well. And the yarn to match pretty good, hey? So this is the main skein. Turquoises and corals. The pictures that I have up on the Etsy site actually show a small swatch of it knit up, so you can see what the fabric is going to turn into when you've knit it. And then there's a 20-gram mini skein to do heels and toes with this beautiful coral. I think Kathy nailed the color, don't you think? Anyway, these are going to be small offerings that we do every now and then. There's only a couple of them in the shop. but I thought I would mention it since it's something that's kind of exciting for us. It's a new thing that we're offering, and we're pretty excited. So, next podcast, I'll show you the Halloween bags if they haven't appeared in the shop before then. Evertote.com is how you can get to if you type in www.evertote.com, that will take you directly to the Etsy site where you can see everything that we have. And we have everything that we have on sale. So, I guess that's it. That was long. Sorry about that. If you're still watching, thank you for joining me again today. I hope that you managed to find some time to stitch. I hope that you manage to find some time in the week ahead to stitch, and I know I will, and I'm looking forward to coming back next week and showing you what else I've been working on. So until then, happy stitching.